What's up, guys? Peace and light, peace and light. It's Traveling Sista here, and if this is your first time joining the channel, then welcome. If not, welcome back, family. So this video here is the second part of dating in Tanzania, and I definitely had a different order and a different kind of format on how I was gonna do this video, but Inanna J, shout out to you, sis, because you came through in the comment section and you pointed out some really, really good things that people really wanted to know. My first video was about addressing the basics, just very basic dating things, because let's be real, some people really need to brush up on their dating basics. You know what I'm saying? Some people still, it just doesn't register with people. So I'm here to help facilitate that. But I'm gonna read this comment, y'all, okay? And I'm gonna be answering every single one of these questions in this video, all right? Come on, tell us a nitty gritty, sis. We know dating basics. What about the differences in perception of gender roles? Feelings about PDA, which can be drastically different in religiously conservative countries, ideas about how to cater to one another romantically, cultural ideas and expectations around intimacy, ideas about the fundamental purpose of marriage, family, relationships, etc. Do you find the men or women to be more or less attentive, protective, possessive of their mates? How do body type ideas about attractiveness differ there? What the men look like. What the men look like. Okay, I had to make sure I read that right. How are some ideas around love? How are some ideas around love the same? How do some differ? Okay, so yes, I'm going to be answering every single one of these questions, all right? But before I dive into the video, so as you know, my WhatsApp number is usually listed in the description section below and at the end of each video, okay? So with that being said, I want to let y'all know that that is WhatsApp, okay? WhatsApp only. If you call me internationally without going through the WhatsApp app, or if you text me without going through the WhatsApp app, I'm not gonna be able to respond because I don't buy international minutes because they're not super expensive, but it's pointless if you have WhatsApp. And if you have a smartphone, everybody this day and age has a smartphone. My 92-year-old grandmother has a smartphone, okay? I WhatsApp her. Please, please, please use WhatsApp, you guys, because it's not that I don't want to text you back or I don't want to call you back. I don't have international minutes, so I'm not going to be able to hit you back. And with that being said as well, if you have WhatsApp, then you have a smartphone. If you have a smartphone, then 9 times out of 10 you have an international clock on there, like where you can punch in the area and it tells you what time it is in that area. You guys, please, please be considerate and look up the time before you call me. You know, text messages, those are neither here nor there. But if you're calling me and my phone is buzzing at 3 o'clock in the morning and it wakes Zora up, we gonna fight, all right? So I'm just saying, you guys, just please look at the time that you're calling me. And I know I'm literally like half a world away. If you're just gonna come through and call, please, let's just, you know, try to be considerate of each other. When I call you back, I'm definitely going to be looking at the time where it is, East Coast, West Coast, Central, wherever you are, you know, wherever. I'm going to be looking at that and trying to be considerate of you for that. I'm not going to call you at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not. So what I do prefer is if you hit me up on WhatsApp by text first, and if you want to have like a good conversation, right? Let's schedule a time. Let's schedule a time to actually do a phone call and we can work from there. So our schedules, you know, will match up and everything. Because you guys, I can get pretty busy out here. I'm always busy, to keep it real. I'm always doing something, always ripping and running on the go. So it would work best if we schedule a time to actually talk, because you know I'm here for y'all. That's why I give you my number so we can actually talk. But yeah, now that I got that out of the way, let's get to the nitty gritty. All right, notes again. All right, so the first question that was asked was the perception of gender roles. here in Tanzania. All right, so Tanzania is a very traditional society when it comes to gender roles, when it comes to the role of the man, the role of the woman in society and in relationships. So what I mean by the perception of gender roles in society out here, as you know, many cultures across Africa back in those days were hunter and gatherer. The men typically were the hunters, the women typically were the gatherers. I'm just generalizing because that was the norm. Now, I know that there were tribes of people where the women were also the hunters. I feel like that's where some of my lineage actually comes from. I had a vision, but that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day. Anyways, yes, the men are typically the hunters, the women are typically the gatherers. How I see that kind of carry over into today's society, something very small that I noticed, okay? Something very small, but I really do believe it stems from that, is when you go to the market or when you go to town and you go to the butcher shop, men might not hunt the animals anymore, but they're definitely the ones running the butcher shop. I would have to say a good 90%. I see some women running the butcher shops and stuff as well, but for the most part, it's a male who runs the butcher shop. And when you go to the market, you will see 9 times out of 10, the women are the one who are selling the fruits and the vegetables and things like that, hence gatherer. Just little things like that. When it comes to business ownership, I would say it's even across the board. There's a lot of sisters out here who own their own businesses, whether it's something small like a corner store or whether it's something big like a catering service, or there's definitely women who are movers and shakers out here. Women owning their own timber business, women in the gemstone business. It's not one of these places where the women only stay at home with the children and only cook and, do this, that, and the third. Like, these women out here grind, all right? So proud of my sisters for that. Men, now, I will say that when it comes to government roles and things like village leaders and, things like that, it's traditionally more male-centered and it's traditionally more male-dominated, okay? And I don't know if that stems back, back in the day where the chief is the one who protects the tribe and things like that. And nowadays, there aren't too many chiefs here in Tanzania. There are lineages of chiefs, like, people whose ancestors were the chiefs and stuff like that. So that bloodline is passed down through them. But when it comes to political heads and stuff like that, it's really not like that anymore. You do have village leaders, you do have district leaders and things like that. And generally, typically those are males. The gender roles when it comes to relationships, like I said, Tanzania is a very traditional society. So when it comes to relationships, the man is the provider, the woman is the nurturer. And when it comes to the household, the women are typically the ones who cook, who clean, who take care of the children. The man is typically the one who works. Not saying that women can't have jobs, as you already know, how I just expressed. A lot of sisters out here grind and really do have their own businesses and things. Now, if the man and the woman out here both have a business to run or both have jobs to go to and they have children at home, typically there will be a dada wakazi employed. Dada wakazi is basically a house girl, okay? So they can either live in the home with the family or they can come every day while the parents are at work and, take care of the kids, do some cleaning and stuff like that. I haven't seen too many cases like that. Matter of fact, the most times that I actually see that is with expats, like myself or other families who move out here who aren't accustomed to having basically a stranger living in their house with them. They'll employ them to come, 2 or 3 times a week to clean the house, to do laundry and things like that. And yes, it is a luxury to have one. It's such a lifesaver, for real. Sometimes Freddie and I, we get busy with doing stuff and we might end up staying out late. And it's just not, you don't want to have your baby all out in the streets all times of night and stuff like that. So yes, it's a lifesaver. And in America, I know at least where I come from, you gotta be rich, okay? You have to be rich to have a house girl. Like, I know one person with a house girl. But anyways, and a question that I do get a lot is, are the women expected to cook, to clean, to, take care of the kids and watch after the kids and stuff? And the answer is yes. Like I said, very traditional society, and the women are expected to fulfill those roles as the mother of the house, as the woman of the house. You know, have dinner ready for your husband when he comes home. Make sure the kids are clean, make sure the house is not dirty, you know, stuff like that. You know, I know a lot of women coming from Western societies have different views on that, especially if they are working women. I'm not here to change y'all's mind, change y'all's views. I'm just telling you how it is here. I personally, I like it. I take pride in having dinner ready when my man comes home. If you don't really vibe with that lifestyle, it can pose a problem. I'm not saying that the men don't cook ever and that the men don't clean ever. Like, it's not a situation out here where the women are expected to be your maids. No, you know what I'm saying? It's just how things balance out here. It's how Tanzanian men typically expect a woman to fulfill her role in the relationship. And it's all based on individuals, whether you're gonna get the help, the extra support from your husband or your mate in that area. So the next question that was asked was feelings about PDA. Okay, so PDA is almost non-existent out here. The most you'll see is people holding hands. I haven't really seen too many people kiss. You know, sometimes like Freddie and I kiss, like just, you know, like a little peck or whatever, but it's not like a full-on type of thing. People just don't do that out here. People are very conservative, and modesty is like a cornerstone of their culture, but that is about it. Okay, so catering romantically to your partner, I would say that that's pretty typical of what you'll find, you know, in the West. Just things like thoughtful little gifts, back rubs, you know, stuff like that. Men and women both do that for each other, from what I've seen. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's obviously it's based upon the individual. Some people aren't really big gift givers. Some people really aren't, you know, very showy with their love and affection. And I've seen probably about a 50-50 balance out here of men and women who show their affection a lot. And I would almost go so far to say that men show their affection a little more than women, oddly enough. I've seen men do more things for their women than the women do for their men. Not saying that it doesn't happen, but just from my own personal observations, that's just what I've seen. Like buying people flowers and, you know, cards, stuff like that. So intimacy. I'm not quite sure what the cis men, okay, cultural ideas and expectations around intimacy. So physical intimacy, like sex and, you know, just touching and things like that, individually based. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about that. But when it comes to emotional intimacy and opening up and sharing with your partner, same ideas around emotional intimacy from what I've seen as they do in the West and in America in different parts. People share their lives with each other. People tell each other about their past. People tell each other about their dreams and hopes and fears and, you know, very intimate parts of themselves when they get in relationships. I find it that people are eager to share a part of themselves with you, you know, and I kind of find that to be the truth about a lot of people here in Tanzania, whether you're in a romantic relationship or not. People seem to be very open about who they are when they're getting to know you, when they decide like, okay, we're friends, you know. It's not like pulling teeth. In a lot of situations in America, I realized that I had friends, but I didn't know anything about them. People are very guarded because people don't like to feel vulnerable. You know, it's a safety thing with people. Here, I typically find that it's not hard to get someone to tear down their walls. You know, some people have walls, but not as many walls as I have seen in America. So yes, ideas about the fundamental purpose of marriage, family, relationships, etc. Okay, so This one, I do get a lot. I do get this question quite a bit. And the ideas around marriage, I'm going to go into that first. The ideas around marriage, it really depends on what religion the person practices, how they're going to view marriage. Because if I could put some numbers to it, I would say this country is 40% Muslim, 40% Christian, and 20% indigenous religion. And what I have seen and what I know to be a fact is that men who are of the Islamic faith are allowed to have more than one wife out here, according to the Islamic religion. And when that happens, it's not just like, oh, he just goes to marry someone, and then, you know, a year later he just shows up with a new wife. It's an agreement that is between the first wife and the husband. And, you know, she already knows basically what she's getting into. They all have to come to an agreement. Like, let's say, hypothetically, Freddie was Muslim and he wanted to take another wife. He would come to me and say, baby, I think I'm ready to take another wife. Okay, do you have somebody in mind? Yeah, I have somebody in mind. All right, let's meet her. Oh, she's cool. Boop, bop, bop. Let's get married. You know, whatever. So everyone has to be in agreement on the new wife. And another thing is, when the man marries his second wife, he has to provide a home for each wife he marries. If he has 12 wives, he has to build each one of them a home. He has to provide for each one of those kids if he has kids with all the wives. I'm not really going to get into why they have multiple wives. I'm not Muslim. I don't practice Muslim faith. So if you would like to do more research on that, I encourage you to do so, because I can't give you answers on that. But I will tell you that it happens out here between the Muslim religion and between the Maasai tribe. Okay, Maasai men typically take more than one wife as well. And to answer the second part of that question, like the typical ideas around marriage out here, it's very similar to what it is in the West. People are in love. People want to build together, to grow together, to create a legacy from their bloodline. And I'm not saying that men and women don't cheat on each other out here. It happens everywhere in the world, okay? But typically, people get married because they want to solidify that unity between man and woman, and they want to build with that person. And they find that person to be a perfect match for them, or a good match, hopefully. So I find that the people out here are very, very, very family oriented. Very family oriented, like family first, family above everything. And that's something that I found so attractive, you guys, especially about the brothers out here. A lot of men are very family oriented. If they have nieces and nephews, you know, just how they interact with them and how they put their family at the forefront of everything. They always make sure their family is good. They make sure, you know, if they're out for the day and they're working, they bring home money to provide for their family. But yes, coming out here as an African American woman, growing up in a family where it was just only my mother providing for my brother and I, it was very attractive to me to see the men eager to provide for their families, and it gave me a glimmer of hope. That's something that we are desperately lacking in the Black community in America, is a family structure. And something she didn't ask, but something that I will touch on because I do get a lot of these questions. How does society view single mothers, and how do men view single mothers? Okay, there's a lot of single mothers out here. There are a lot of single mothers. I wouldn't say that it's at the rate how it is in America, but there's a lot of single mothers out here. They're not shunned by society. They're not looked at any type of way. There is still, you know what I'm saying, people marrying single mothers and things every day. You know, because I've had a lot of people ask, like, hey, I'm a single mother and I want to come out with my children, but I've heard that they don't marry single mothers and stuff like that. That's not true. That is not true. Single mothers get married every day out here. Well, not every day because they marry on Saturdays, but they get married every Saturday out here, you guys. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And for single fathers, I haven't seen too many single fathers, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. And the ideas surrounding the fundamental purpose of just relationships. So when you're in the dating phase, it's kind of similar to what it would be in the West, all right, or in America. When you're dating, you know, some people take it seriously, some people don't. Some people are after one thing, some people are after the gold, okay? Some people have goals already in mind. Some people like to play games, want to be players, males and females, all right? There's some women out here that will run you for all of your shit, all right? Excuse my language. But yeah, there's people who definitely play games out here, but it's just a matter of knowing yourself so you don't get got, okay? And what I mean by that is knowing yourself and trusting in your ability to discern, your ability to recognize game. Let me just put it like that. You know, trusting yourself enough to not make excuses in your mind like, oh, maybe this is just cultural differences, or maybe he's really playing me, or maybe she's really playing me. Like, trust in yourself enough, know yourself enough to know the feelings that you're getting. Does it feel off energetically? If it does, then it probably is. Don't make excuses. Don't make excuses for people. But do keep in mind that there are cultural nuances and cultural differences that could seem like a red flag, but at the end of the day, they really aren't. I'm going to try to touch on that a little later on, even more in depth in the video, because I know I touched on it in the first video. If y'all haven't seen the first video, then I'm going to put the little tag, I don't know, somewhere over there. But yes, just know how to recognize how it feels energetically and emotionally. But when you do get someone who is looking to settle down and looking to eventually make you a permanent part of their life, then it's serious. You know, people, they're going to bring you around their friends. They're going to bring you around their family. They're going to tell people about you. They're going to show you. They're going to put into words and action, you know, expressing how they feel about you. It's very similar. You know, if you have to guess with people out here, then it's probably not what you want it to be. All right. So enough about that. So possessiveness and attentiveness with men and women. To be straight up, I do find the men out here to be a little more possessive, but not in a unhealthy way. Some of them could be unhealthy. I was just listening to this story about this sister who, African-American sister who came out here, and she went on a couple dates with a Tanzanian guy, and child, he ended up saying all this this crazy stuff to her, ultimately ran her out the country, threatened her life. Craziness, y'all, straight up crazy. So yeah, you will have situations where men and women, the first day, be like, oh, I love you. And I'm gonna tell you about that too. With the whole I love you, the whole nakupenda thing. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, you'll have those people who come hard, y'all, like the first 2 days you meet them. And you're like, what? I don't even know you. I could be crazy, but you love me, whatever. So I do find the men to be a little more possessive, mostly not in an unhealthy way though. It's mostly like a protective type of thing. They typically don't want strange men all up in their woman's face, as it should be. You know what I'm saying? You don't want dudes all in the space of your woman, you know, things like that. Women, like I said, women, I don't know, y'all. Women out here are kind of hard to read at times. I know a few local women who, you know, are very expressive about their love and, you know, things with their man. But yeah, I don't see that possessive kind of behavior or that vibe coming from a lot of the women out here. But the men, yeah, a little bit more. but in an odd way, it's kind of refreshing. Ladies, I'm talking to y'all right now. So I don't know about how things were in your past, but just to get a little personal, in the past, before I learned myself, before I learned to love myself and appreciate and recognize my strength, my power, and my beauty, I got into a couple relationships where the man acted like he could take me or leave me. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't super proud to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. From my experience, that's just not the case out here. Men seem to be very proud of the woman on their arm. They take care of their ladies, for the most part. If the man comes from a good family, you know, each man has his own issues and stuff like that. But yeah, the men typically seem to take care of their women and stuff out here, and are very proud to be with them. And yeah, it's refreshing. Just, you know, just that little bit of, you could call it possessiveness, you could call it protective nature or whatever, but it's refreshing. How do body types and the ideas about attractiveness differ over here? And let me tell y'all, Tanzanian people come in all shapes, sizes, colors, hair textures, all of that, okay? Tanzanian people are very, very broad when it comes to the way they look. You have people that are very, very, very light skinned with curly hair. They look like they're mixed with black and white. You have people who are really dark that almost have a purple hue to their skin. You have people with, you know, wavy type of hair. You have people with really, really tight coils, short, tall, thick, slim. Now, what I will say is a lot of the men are typically on the slimmer side. I don't know if you've seen Freddie, but you know, they're typically built like Freddie. But then too, you have men who are thick, you know what I'm saying? You definitely got some thick sisters out here. You definitely got some slim sisters and everything in between, you guys. So the men and women out here, they love all body types. I haven't seen men really express a preference from one thing over the other. Now, y'all know black men love the booty, and that's globally. That's globally from what I've seen. But even if you're on the less curvy side, ladies, you will not have a problem, trust me. I don't really see men discriminating against women of any body type out here. Women turn heads. It's really funny because I find like the men out here, they are very open with like things like that. Like if you'll find a group of men working on the streets or something like that, and a cute girl walks past, they're just like, I say. You know what I'm saying? They're very open about, and I've seen them do that to thick girls, slim girls, short, tall, dark skin, light skin, any and everything, you know? So it's not really a thing out here to discriminate against body type, skin color, hair texture, any of that. It's not. So on to the next question. What the men look like, okay? She straight asked me what the men look like. They fine. Some of the finest men I've ever seen. But it really depends on your idea of fine. Typically, the men out here, like I said, some are short, some are tall. A lot of them are very brown skinned, like, but then you have a lot of light skinned people. Like there's a whole tribe of just like light, super, super light skinned people, but they're Tanzanian. But that's neither here nor there. You have such a wide range of how people look out here, or how the men look. A lot of the men from the coast and from Zanzibar specifically, they have kind of like an Arab and an African mix type of look. They handsome. The men from the mainland, the inland men, they're handsome. But typically what I see of Tanzanian men, they're medium height, between, you know, 5'8" and 6'2", you know, somewhere in between that range. Slim, naturally, uh-oh, my little thingy came out. Maybe I'll just hold it. Okay, but they're typically slim, naturally fit, not too much body fat for the most part, and bone structure. I know I talked about this in one of my other videos a couple years ago, but bone structure to die for, high cheekbones, nice jawline, just strong, like handsome features. nice full big lips, child, soup coolers on point. Yeah, I mean, just Google some pictures, I guess. Google some pictures of Tanzanian men. I don't think I'm gonna go around snapping pictures of random men, but then again, I might. I'm a photographer. I could kind of do like a little exposition or something on, Tanzanian men. Actually, that might be interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. The men and the women, because fellas, I didn't forget about y'all either. The women are gorgeous out here, for real. The women are gorgeous. Just beautiful women with amazing shapes, amazing skin color, like, you know what I'm saying? But whatever your physical preference for your mate is out here, you can find that, because Tanzanian people, what I found is Tanzanian people are so diverse. It's a very good mix of people out here, how they look physically, okay? And so ideas around love, I'm going to finish up with this question because this was her last question. And I do have something to tell you about love out here. Okay. So typically, yes, the ideas about love are the same. If you love someone, from what I've seen out here, the man and the woman go to great lengths to keep them. But like I said earlier, they want to build with you. They want to have a family with you. They want to start a legacy with you. And they're going to express that to you if they really love you. If they don't, that could either be, they not really for you, or they just have a hard time expressing themselves. You have to be the one to decide that. You have to be the one to figure that out, energetically and how it feels. It'll never lie, period. But anyways, I want to talk to you about the word nakupenda, all right? So instead of explaining it again, because I'm super lazy, I already explained it in one of my videos, so I'm just going to insert the clip here. The first thing that I want to touch on is the word nakupenda. Nakupenda in English translates to I love you. Nakupenda also in English translates to I like you. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're coming out here and you're getting into a new relationship and seeking love, or whatever the case may be, and the person says nakupenda, they could mean that they love you, or they could mean that they like you, they're feeling you. So what I find a lot of times is when people out here tell the person they love them, like, oh, I love you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are in love with you. They could just be saying that they like you, but their translation in Kiswahili is very literal. I don't know if I'm losing y'all. I hope I'm not losing y'all. But beware of that. Okay? Beware of that, because I know I've heard a couple stories about, men and women going on dates with Tanzanian people, and after 2 days, the person is like, oh, I love you. They might not mean it in the way that you think they mean it, or they might. You know what I'm saying? So in that case, you just got to watch out. But yeah, that's one thing I really wanted to touch on. And I found it interesting that I like you and I love you is the same exact translation. Nakupenda. All right. So I hope I explained it thoroughly enough to you guys. Nakupenda does not always mean I love you in the traditional sense. And I hope you guys overall vibe with this video. And again, shout out to the sis Inanna J for bringing up these spectacular questions. And I hope I answered them to your liking. All right. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you already haven't. I am going to be putting up some more juicy material when it comes to dating in Tanzania, and also some more material on getting businesses started here in Tanzania and what that process looks like, because that is one of the questions that I get the most as well. So y'all already know what it is. Okay. I love y'all. Peace, peace.